YouTube Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. What a day yesterday. 49ers unfortunately lost to the Browns. I was actually at the game. I don't know if you guys have seen the YouTube Shorts videos I have uploaded, but I was in section 111, first row, right behind the 49ers sideline. It was the best seats in the house. I mean, they really couldn't have been better. Shout out to the Browns fan yesterday that, for whatever reason, hooked me and my girlfriend up with on-field access and club access. The way it worked is we were able to kind of go down onto the field before the game. We were able to go into the tunnel all day, even during the game. The Cleveland Browns stadium has a club lounge area in the visitors' tunnel, and we were able to see the 49ers come out, rocking out to the boombox before the game. I was able to see George Kittle give his wife a kiss before the game. His wife was like sitting right below us to the right. It was an awesome experience. Obviously, the 49ers didn't get the job done, but we'll get into all of that. Definitely go check out the YouTube Shorts videos I've uploaded, though. They're probably 30, 40 seconds apiece. You guys will love it, though. I mean, I was as close as you could possibly be to the field yesterday afternoon. As you guys know, I live in Indiana, so I think I've always wanted to go out to Levi's and watch a game there. We looked into ticket prices and doing that. It simply was just going to be too much for my budget, at least. So we felt as if we went to Cleveland, we could get some super badass seats. And we wouldn't spend nearly as much money, of course, because we were going to be driving and whatnot. And we did all the driving in one day. We didn't obviously stay in a hotel or anything like that. But enough talking, though. I can get into everything that's happened over the past year with the 49ers. I don't really feel there's any need to do that. Brock Purdy is obviously the quarterback now. He earned the job. Obviously, with Trey Lance going to Dallas, It's crazy to see how things have unfolded in San Francisco and with that quarterback situation. Obviously, the Niners going out and getting Christian McCaffrey couldn't have been a better move. The guy scored in 15 games straight, 15 straight touchdowns. Or I believe that may be 15 touchdowns in 14 games. I'm pretty sure it's 15 straight games with touchdowns. The guy has been an absolute menace for this 49ers team. He's made this team so much better. But either way, let's get right into the game. So, 49ers lost 19-17. Jake Moody missed the field goal to give the 49ers the win. I mean, if Jake Moody hits that field goal, there's 5 seconds to go, and the 49ers, bearing any miracle on the Cleveland's bearing any miracle for Cleveland, would have won the game. But at the end of the day, did Jake Moody play well? Absolutely not. There's no excuse. I mean, the 49ers spent a third-round pick to go out and get Jake Moody. He wasn't good yesterday, but at the end of the day, he's a rookie, just like Fred Warner said in his his post-game presser. It's not all on Jake Moody. The 49ers had multiple chances to win that game. They didn't capitalize. Cleveland was the better team. They showed up. I don't think that the 49ers went into that game underestimating Cleveland. Jim Schwartz and that Cleveland defense has done a tremendous job all year. Going into that game, they were obviously the first-ranked defense in the league. And yeah, they played well. I mean, they gave the 49ers offensive line a run for their money all day. But, yeah, so let's get into it. So, obviously, we start with the opening drive. You know, San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan puts together an incredible opening drive, gets the 49ers up by 7 early on a McCaffrey touchdown. That guy's automatic. I hope some of you guys have been taking him in anytime touchdown scorers. I've been, and I mean, it's like it's hitting every time. But either way, Niners open up with a strong drive. Then, obviously, Philip Walker throws an interception to Fred Warner. And then the 49ers obviously getting field goal range. They went up 10-0. That ended up leading to a Kareem Hunt touchdown for the Browns late. I believe that may have been right before halftime, if I can remember right. It was right before halftime when Kareem Hunt ran one in for the Browns. That obviously boosted the Browns a lot. I mean, they were obviously going into halftime, they were down by 3 points, and they ended up getting the ball, coming out of halftime. So that definitely helped for Cleveland, getting that touchdown by Kareem Hunt. The Niners showed blitz on that play with that Kareem Hunt touchdown, and they paid the price for it. So obviously going into halftime, it's a 3-point ball game. Cleveland comes out, obviously after halftime. Dustin Hopkins kicks a field goal to tie the game. And then things really kind of started unraveling from there. Brock Purdy ended up throwing an interception in the third quarter to McLeod Jr., I believe it was, who picked him off. It was a bad pass. It was behind Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, he couldn't have caught it. It was just too behind him, and that costed the 49ers, obviously, a big drive to go down there and one-up the Browns and score. That interception with Cleveland ended up setting up another Dustin Hopkins field goal, and obviously the Browns then took the lead 13-10. And then obviously with Cleveland, they're up 13-10. There's 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Philip Walker throws a ball to, I believe, Amari Cooper on the left sideline. Lenore picks it off. I thought it was going to be a pick six, but it set up a Jordan Mason touchdown, which was huge at the time. I really thought the 49ers were in a really good position during that time. It set up a Jordan Mason touchdown. And obviously the 49ers then took the lead 17-13. And then they just didn't finish. It was one of them weird games where Cleveland matched our physicality, and when you do that with the 49ers always have a hard time winning. Any team's gonna have a hard time winning when you match physicality of that respected team, and that's exactly what Cleveland did. Like I said, that their defensive line absolutely dominated the 49ers offensive line all day long. Brock Purdy was only sacked 3 times, but that didn't really account for how much pressures Cleveland got, with that. So, and then then you go into the fourth quarter. Obviously, late in the fourth quarter, Cleveland kicks another field goal after the Jordan Mason touchdown. It's 17-16 at the time. 49ers get the ball back, immediately gets turned over, or we ended up going 3-and-out. And then Cleveland put together an amazing offensive drive. Jerome Ford, led by Jerome Ford on that drive, to set up Dustin Hopkins' 29-yard field goal attempt, and that obviously put the Cleveland Browns up 19-17. And this is where everybody wanted to see what Brock Purdy could do. There's been multiple people talking about how Brock Purdy has never had to play from down a lot going in the fourth quarter. Nobody's really seen him do a 1-minute, drive to get the 49ers in position to win the game, and Brock Purdy did that. Brock Purdy by no means played his best game or played well whatsoever. It was a team loss all in all, but at the end of the day, Brock Purdy did enough to win the game for the 49ers. What didn't help, obviously, too, is we suffered injuries. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the video, but Trent Williams obviously was banged up yesterday. He ended up returning to the game. Debo suffered a shoulder injury, did not return. Christian McCaffrey suffered an oblique injury. He ended up returning for a short stint, and then they ended up ruling him out with that oblique injury. So hopefully everything is good with Christian McCaffrey. I know with Debo, they expect Debo to be fine. He had x-rays on his rib and shoulder, I believe. So those came back negative, which is, obviously great news for the 49ers. But you just hope both of those guys will be day-to-day. I think getting an extra day of rest. Obviously, the 49ers don't play until Monday night next week. But getting an extra day of rest is going to be huge for that team. And then obviously after playing Minnesota next week, we do have that bye week. So bye week comes at a perfect time. I knew there was going to be some injuries with this 49ers team. It happens every year. It was just a matter of when. And unfortunately, it happened yesterday in a game that, Cleveland matched physicality all game. So, but yeah, going back to the game, Brock Purdy leads them down with 1:40 on the clock. He puts the 49ers at the 41-yard line for Jake Moody to come out and what everybody thought, he was going to do, make up for that missed kick earlier in the game. And, yeah, he shanked it. He shanked it right. The stadium absolutely erupted when it happened. It just wasn't – it was a perfect recipe for a 49ers upset. Brock Purdy wasn't playing good. The 49ers lost two of their best offensive players, Debo and Christian McCaffrey. Kudos to Jim Schwartz, that Cleveland defense. The 49ers, I thought, defensively played them okay. Cleveland did score 19 points, but San Francisco kept them out of the end zone a lot. Cleveland kicked, I believe, 3 field goals in this game. They scored, I believe, 1 touchdown. They scored 2 touchdowns, but you guys get the point. The Browns didn't. The Browns weren't in a position to win that game if it's all about, it goes back to the 49ers hitting those two field goals. The 49ers obviously would have won the game had Jake Moody hit at least one of those field goals. So, but at the end of the day, it's not on him. That game shouldn't have been close in the end. It was obviously going to be a tough game. Cleveland's defense is tough, like I've been, saying, but at the end of the day, the 49ers had multiple opportunities, and really they beat themselves up on their own with offensive penalties and things of that nature. And the refs were not good for either team yesterday. We can go on and talk about the Tashawn Gibson, how he was called for the contact with the defenseless receiver on the play. That was a bullshit call. I'll be the first one to say that. But Cleveland also, there were stuff called on Cleveland that should have been called on San Francisco. And I'll be man enough to say that. And there was one call in particular that was a holding call, or a offensive face mask. And I believe it was on a kick return or a punt return or whatever, but they called it on Cleveland. And it was clear-cut 49ers penalty. They ended up obviously replaying that, and they realized that, they made the wrong call and they switched it. But there's no excuse for the Tashawn Gibson call. Tashawn Gibson didn't even hit him head-to-head. It was one of those things where it's football. Things happen. You have to let them play. The NFL has become so soft as far as quarterback hits like we seen yesterday with Tashawn Gibson. They didn't. It wasn't a great called game by the officials. But again, no excuse. The 49ers should have won that game and they didn't. Perfect recipe for an upset in Cleveland. So that's our first loss in a very, very long time. We have won, 16, 17 straight regular season games, and Cleveland obviously didn't let that happen yesterday. They ended the streak. I think it is. Here's the thing: you don't want to go into the playoffs as an undefeated team. I'm glad we get this. I'm glad we got humbled yesterday, so we know what to expect the rest of the year. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I genuinely don't think the 49ers underestimated the Cleveland Browns by any means. The Cleveland Browns are a very physical team. They're a good football team with or without Deshaun Watson. P.J. Walker is a very seasoned veteran quarterback. He's not amazing by any means, but at the end of the day, he did exactly what he needed to do to win the game. The 49ers had opportunities. So 49ers will be just fine. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk led the Niners offense with 4 catches for 76 yards. George Kittle kind of struggled alongside Brock Purdy as well throughout the entire game. So we'll get back to the drawing board. We'll put this one past us. And the bottom line is you just got to get ready for Minnesota next week. It was a tough game. It was a cross-country game. I would imagine that the 49ers will take this loss on the chin, get better, get healthy, obviously, with McCaffrey and Debo and Trent, and Dre Greenlaw was out for yesterday's game. But I do believe the Niners, this will better the 49ers in the long run. We've seen what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday as well. They lost to the Jets. So the Niners will be back. I don't see them letting this affect them the rest of the year. They'll be back. They'll get healthy, and hopefully, like I said, we can get back to where we were last year, in an NFC Championship game or in the playoffs or whatnot. And before I go, it is kind of weird. The 49ers always have that game. It seemed like the past 2-3 years where they lose to a team that they are clearly better than. You looked at last year, they lost to the Chicago Bears week 1, which that was a monsoon game. I don't necessarily blame that on anybody. Bears were playing in a monsoon too, yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I think there's always that game. And then obviously the year before that, we lost to the Atlanta Falcons. That was another tough loss. It just feels like there's always a loss that the 49ers get, or the 49ers always take a loss that they shouldn't take. And that's the NFL for you. I mean, like I said, we seen it with the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. Brock Purdy didn't play as bad as Jalen Hurts did yesterday. Teams struggle. Just like the Niners, though, the Eagles will be back. But, yeah, other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. We're running on about 17 minutes so far. This is a long video, but there was a lot to cover in this game. But, yes, awesome experience yesterday. Like I said, shout out to the Browns fan for making that on-field access stuff happen. And, yeah, like I said, I'll be back full-time making videos. I'll be uploading updates on McCaffrey and Debo's injuries and whatnot. So as we get ready for Minnesota next week, obviously there's going to be a preview video again from here on out and post-game, obviously, thought videos. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As always, go Niners, and I'll see you guys in the next one.